Hey everybody, today I'll be discussing about the organs of speech. What do you mean by organs of speech? In an easy language, we can say that the sounds which are created by the movement of certain body organs, such as the muscles of the lungs, vocal cords, tongue, lips, etc., these form the organs of speech basically. When organs of the human body produce sound, it means when the organs of a human body, like discussed earlier, the lungs, vocal cords, when they all combine together, then the sound which is produced is known as the organs of speech. Now, the organs of speech are divided into three systems. First of them is the respiratory system, second is the phonatory system, third is the articulatory system. In today's video, I'll be discussing about the first two in detail. It means the respiratory system and the phonatory system. So let's start discussing about the respiratory system. The respiratory system consists of the lungs, the muscles of the chest, and the trachea. Trachea is commonly known as windpipe. So, what is the function of the respiratory system? Let's discuss about that. The primary function, of course, is breathing, because if we do not breathe, then we cannot live. So, the primary function of the respiratory system is breathing. But what is its function in relation to the production of speech sound? Well, it provides you an airstream through which you can pass your air. When you exhale the air from the lungs through an airstream, then the sound which is produced, that is known as your speech sound. Let's do a quick exercise. One time you have to inhale, one time you have to exhale. You have to try. What you have to try is you have to speak a name. For example, let's say we choose Jason. We have to say Jason when we inhale, and we have to say Jason when we exhale. So once I'm inhaling, I cannot speak. When I'm inhaling, I feel that I cannot speak Jason. But let me try it when I'm exhaling. Jason. Jason. Yes, while inhaling, I could not speak Jason, and while exhaling, I'm able to say Jason. It means that we can only say the words, or we can only produce the speech sounds when we are exhaling the air. It means that whenever we are exhaling the air, then only we would be able to produce the speech sounds. So, the respiratory system helps you in providing that airstream. It provides you an area, a stream, a way from where you can pass the air, and then you can produce the speech sounds. So, what is the mechanism involved there? So, let's speak about the mechanism used for the speech production. It is basically named as pulmonic aggressive airstream mechanism. Now, in an easy language, I have described it that when the air goes out of the lungs, then the sound which is produced is basically known as the speech sound. In English and most of the European language, and even except Sindhi in Indian languages, this mechanism is followed, the pulmonic aggressive airstream mechanism. So let's revise quickly that what is the function of the respiratory system. Of course, its basic function is to help you in breathing. The primary function is to help you in breathing. But if I speak about in context to the production of speech sound, then it is providing you the airstream through which you will pass the air. While exhaling, the sound which you will produce will be the speech sound, and the mechanism involved behind it is named as pulmonic aggressive airstream mechanism. Now let's discuss phonatory system in detail. As you can see on the screen in the diagram, that there are three things that form the phonatory system. The first one of them is the larynx, the second one of them is the vocal cords, and the third is of course the trachea. Now larynx is made up of cartilage and muscle. Basically it's acting as a wall. And if I say about the vocal cords, it is lip-like structure which is inside the larynx. And trachea, as discussed earlier, also is commonly known as the windpipe. Now, when the air from the respiratory system starts traveling, the airstream helps you to bring the air to the phonatory system. Now, when it enters the phonatory system, now there'll be some kind of modifications. Now, what will those modifications be? It will be basically dependent upon the vocal cords. Now, we have to discuss three categories for the vocal cords that will help us to understand what kind of sound we are producing and when we are producing it. So, before discussing about the vocal cords, let me create an imagery in front of you which will help you out to understand this concept of vocal cords. Imagine that you are sitting near a window and the window is fully open. And the wind is also blowing. So, what will you feel? That you could feel wind coming to your face, and you'll be very relaxed in that case. And if I discuss about the window which is fully closed, then you will not be able to feel any kind of air coming, touching your face, and feeling you will not feel any kind of air coming because the window is fully closed. But what if we partially close the window? It means that it's not even fully open, but not even fully closed. There's a little gap between that. Then you could feel that you're hearing something. There'll be some kind of noise of that air which is blowing outside. So similar is the case with the vocal cords also. Now let's discuss about the first diagram which you can see on your screen. It's for the vocal cords when they are wide apart. It means when they are fully open. You can see that there's a gap between them. What is that gap known as basically? It is known as glottis, glottis. It is space between the vocal cords. So when your vocal cords are wide apart, then the voice, the sound that you produce is known as voiceless sound, because then there is no vibration involved in the whole process of the production of voice. Let me tell you again that when your vocal cords are wide apart, then there is no vibration produced, which results in the voiceless sounds. If I talk about the second one, then you can see that the vocal cords are basically loosely held. It means that it is the case when there's a gap in between of them. It means the same scene when you can relate to the window partially open. So here you can see that there's a little bit of gap in between of them. So what will happen now? So when in this condition, if somebody would try to speak, then the sounds which will be produced will have some kind of vibration, and that vibration which is there during the production is going to result in the voiced sounds. Let me reframe the sentence. I'm saying that the sounds which are produced when your vocal cords are loosely held creates a vibration, and it results into the voiced sounds. Now let's do again a very quick activity. Say so and say z. But while you're speaking or saying these two sounds, you have to keep your fingers on your neck, so on your larynx, so that you can feel it. When you will say sir, then you will not be able to feel some kind of vibration on your fingers. But in the other case, when you will say z, then you could feel the vibrations on your finger. Here you'll get to know that when you are saying sir, then it is a voiceless sound, and when you are saying z, then it is a voiced sound. Let me discuss the third figure in detail. Third figure describes that vocal cords are tightly held. It means there's no space between the vocal cords. Now, what is that case? It is a case when you are eating or drinking. It is often being said that you should not speak while you are eating. Why? Because if you'll start speaking during that condition, then your vocal cords will be either partially closed or fully open. In that case, the food can go on to the wrong canal, and it can result in some kind of breathing difficulties, because then your food will enter the trachea. It means your windpipe. So that's why it is being said that when you are eating, then you should not speak, so that you have no difficulties with breathing. So in this case, in the third figure, you can see that it is the position of your vocal cords when you are trying to eat something or when you are drinking something, so that it prevents any foreign body, or you can say food, water, whatever you are having, from entering into your windpipe. Here we discuss the all the three cases involved with the vocal cords. Now let's discuss in detail that what are these voiceless sounds and what are these voice sounds. As we have already discussed that what are voiceless is basically when your vocal cords are wide apart, and voiced is basically when your vocal cords are partially, or you can say loosely held. But how many voiceless sounds are there and how many voiced sounds are there? We should know that. So consonants are being divided into voiceless and voiced sounds. But if I speak about the vowels, then all the vowels are voiced sounds. None of the vowel is voiceless. So the consonants which are voiceless are 9 in number, and let's discuss about them. P, T, K, Ch, F, Th, S, Sh, and H. These are the 9 consonant sounds that are voiceless. Now there are 15 consonant sounds that are voiced. B, D, G, J, M, N, R, L, V, D, Z, V, Ang, Y, J. Now, some of you must be confused who are looking to these symbols for the first time. So let me tell you that these are the phonetic symbols for the consonants. I have recorded my previous lecture on this topic, that what are the phonetic symbols for the consonant and vowels. I'll put the link in the description box so that those who are unable to recognize the symbols or pronounce them can go to that video and try to understand them in detail. So here in this video we have discussed about the two systems which are involved in the production of the speech sound. So very soon I'll be uploading a video on the articulatory system too. I hope that you've understood the role of the phonatory system and the respiratory system in the production of speech sounds. Thank you.